Hi guys, and welcome back to your 7th tutorial in MATLAB. Today we're going to be talking a little bit more about some real programming stuff. And I'm sorry if you can hear that in the background. That's some people working on the basement. They're kind of taking apart the wall. But anyhow, we're going to be talking about some real programming stuff this time again. So we'll be talking about loops, while loops, and for loops. And for those of you familiar with programming, you might have heard of the do-while loop. Well, apparently MATLAB doesn't have a do-while, so I guess that's okay because I never use it anyway. But anyhow, why don't we get started? First, we'll start by taking a look at the while loop. But to do that, we're going to have to create a variable. So let's create a variable called a number. Set a number equal to 1. Now we have our while loop, which uses a test condition like we saw from the previous tutorial with the if statement. A test condition to test while this test condition is true, continue this loop. So why don't we create a test condition of while a number is less than 10, print out the value of number. So unless we modify this number, it's going to keep looping through this while loop because it's still going to be less than 10 unless we say otherwise. So why don't we, on every iteration of the while loop, add 1 to it. So a number plus 1 here. And by the way, I might not have mentioned this at this point, but if you don't want to have MATLAB display the result of something, you can suppress the output with a colon. And in this case, I'm going to suppress the output so we only see the value of a number. But anyhow, we end the while loop like we did with the if statement. And when we run this, as you can see, the while loop continued to print out a number for each loop, each iteration. And we have numbers 1 through 9 here listed for a number as it updated. Okay, so say we wanted to run for a particular number of iterations instead, though. That's why the for loop is handy in MATLAB. The for loop will run for a specific number of iterations. So let's just do an example just to show. So I'm going to clear the screen, and you could clear the screen with a CLC. That's the command. But so we're going to create a variable, and we're going to call it sum numbers, and we will set it equal to just a bunch of random numbers. So 1, let's say 4, 7, 9, 22, I don't know, and we'll set some numbers equal to those values. Alright, now if we type in our for loop and we set, let's create a value here. Why don't I just type it out and explain it as I go. An element. We'll create a variable called an element and set that equal to some numbers. So the format for the test condition within a for is that every element within some numbers, or the variable on the right hand side of the equals, will be set for each iteration to an element. So the element will have with each iteration the next value in some numbers. So let's see what happens when we type this out. Try to print out an element for each iteration, and we again end it with our end command in the for loop with an end, and we run this, and we should get each element within some numbers. So that should be 1, 4, 7, 9, 22. And that's in fact what we get. So that's a relief. Okay, it worked. Good. Alright, but anyhow, we can also do this for elements within a string, for example. Now in a string, each element corresponds to a letter. So let's say we create a variable and we call it I don't know, a string. It's very original. But I'm gonna make the string holy cow, I guess, because this is the something cow website, right? So yep, that's a string there, and we build our for loop here again. So this time we'll put an element equals a string, and then we type out or print out the element for each loop. And when we run this, we should get each letter back, because each element are the elements within a string are the characters. So we should get back HOLYCOW. But let's run it and see what happens. And there we go. You have all the letters printed out with each iteration, and then the for loop ends. So that's good news. Anyhow, there's one last thing I want to show you before I go. And in this tutorial, we're gonna conclude with bringing in the continue and the break commands. You might have heard of these as well in other programming languages if you're familiar with one, but we'll go over it again here just to make sure. So, alright, the continue keyword, what that does is every time that's encountered within the code, the loop continues from the beginning again without computing the following statements. So again, why don't I just try to make an example here. Alright, we'll have our a number again, set him equal to 1, and this time we're going to create a while loop. So we'll create a while loop, and while a number is less than 10 again, like we did before, and inside we're going to put an if statement. So if a number equals 5, remember the double equals sign, then what we want to do is add 1 to a number, suppress the output, and then continue without printing anything out. Alright, and we end our if statement, and then we will print out a number otherwise, and we also have to remember to make sure to update this value, a number. So we're going to add 1 to it each iteration. Alright, and suppress the output of this guy too. Alright, so when we end this, the end result should be that we print out all the numbers while a number is increased by 1 each iteration. We should print them all out except when a number is equal to 5. In that case, we're going to continue the while loop and avoid printing out the number. So let's see what happens. Alright, and you can see here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So since we said we wanted to continue when a number was equal to 5, we didn't print out the value of 5. Well, why don't we take a look now at the break statement. So basically the same thing will happen, except instead of continuing with the next iteration, the next loop, what we're going to do is we're going to actually break out of the while loop. So all these other numbers after here, or right here, 6 through 9, shouldn't appear. So let's see if that's what happens. I'm just going to press the up arrow a whole bunch of times and do this again. Or, yeah, okay. Well, we need to make sure we set a number to 1 again. So here's our while. If, let's see, can you, in the if statement, print out a number? Oh shoot, that's right. guess I can't go back. But anyhow, I think I can just Control C this. Let's do this one more time. Actually have it over here, so I'm gonna cut and paste. Sorry guys, I know I'm cheating, but anyhow, this is what we do. Alright, so oh, I did continue again. Let's try that one more time. One more time. Alright. So here's our code again, and this time we have a break instead of a continue. And we should break out once a number equals 5. So we print out numbers 1 through 4, and then we exit the while loop once we have a 5 because we have our break. In any case, this is the end of this tutorial. Yeah, I made a mistake, but what are you gonna do? So anyhow, I'll see you in the next one. We'll start getting into hopefully some real stuff here, like creating functions and MATLAB files, and yeah, that'll be cool. So why don't you stay tuned and see if I don't know, just stay tuned. Alright, take it easy. Bye bye.